What is going on, people of YouTube? I'm Steven with Purpose Lens Photo and Media. Today, I'm gonna test out the SONY ZV E10 for photography. I'm gonna shoot some photos out here. Then we're gonna take them back. We're gonna see if these photos suck. We're gonna see how good the SONY ZV E10 is. I figured I would come out here and get some pictures of people and whatnot, but it literally just stopped raining, so everybody left. So it's me and a couple of geese out here, and maybe some people spread all around. But I'm just gonna walk around and take some photos and see what we can get. So let's check it out. So I'm first just gonna start out by setting my white balance. Let's do 5500, that's what it looks like. One of the biggest questions about this camera is, are you gonna be able to take photos without a viewfinder? And yes, you can. I'm using the Sigma 56mm 1.4. I like that shot. There's a lot of interesting things out here. Hello, how are you guys? I'm alive, I can't complain. Things could always be worse. You mind if I take your photo? Yeah, it almost does look like a macro lens. All right, perfect. 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. What was your name?
Joelle.
Joelle, I'm Steven. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay.
Thanks. I don't like to really bother people a lot, but I just kind of want to get an idea of if it's possible to actually shoot people with the camera and things like that. So I'm just going to continue to kind of find some things to shoot. I'm going to use the bokeh on this lens because I know that's what a lot of people like. All right, I'm going to take a picture of the bottom of this tree here. I like that. Again, this articulating screen is coming in pretty handy. Now, one of the things I will say that is different with using this is, at least for me, I think I've gotten so used to putting the camera up that I frame better when I don't have all of this distraction around me. And I think that for me is what the viewfinder does, is it helps me to isolate what it is that I want to actually capture. But when I'm like this, my mind is I'm seeing everything around me, and it's difficult to focus in. I mean, I'm sure over time, if I kept at it and I practice, that I could get used to it. But it's just something right now that I haven't become accustomed to yet. So I'm working on it. It's gonna start raining here in just a second, so I wanna make sure that I'm not getting caught in the rain. I like that. I do like the fact that it's small in my hand, it's not heavy. When I'm taking pictures, typically I'm using a different camera and it's a lot heavier than this. But this is really nice. It's lightweight. My arms aren't fatigued yet, and I'm not huge, but I think anytime you're just holding something, you're trying to hold it still and you're trying to get photos, it can be difficult. That part I love about it is how lightweight it is. So let's keep moving. It's definitely different working with this tighter focal length here, 56mm. I almost at 85 in the full frame world. Running into that problem again, I got light coming straight down and it's bouncing off the camera. Let me try moving the screen. Okay, that helps. So I just learned something here. If you're having a problem where you're trying to take a photo and you're looking at the back of the screen straight on and the sun's coming a certain way, the old me, I'm just used to the flip up and down screen, but not the articulating this way. So now, because I can do this, I can move my screen so that the sun isn't on it and I'm not having to worry about the sun being in my way. So I literally just learned that. I think what I want to do now is be done here because there's not a lot of people here. I'm going to take these photos back and see what we can do. So let's check it out. So we are back and I'm going to edit these photos here. Now I want you to look at this. So this is Lightroom. This is the latest version. It's been updated, but we'll find that some of these files here, it says preview unavailable for this file. This is because the raw files that are on this card that came from the ZV E10 are not yet supported in Lightroom. Now, I'm not sure if this is the case across the board with all of the different editors like Capture One and things like that, But as of now, as of October 9th, 2021, there is no support for RAW. So I just wanted you guys to know that. So I am not going to go through the process of converting RAW files over to TIFFs so that I can edit them. I'm just going to do the JPEG. So I'm sorry for the RAW folks out there. But just know RAW support is hopefully coming. All right, so I'm just going to import these in. We're going to see what we can do with these. See, again, some import operations were not performed. That's because it can't bring the RAW in there. All right, so this lady was nice enough to let me take her photo. So let's just take a look at the quality and see what we have here. And again, this is JPEG, but we'll see it. I think this photo came out pretty good. I like how detailed this is. Now, again, this was the Sigma 56mm 1.4 lens. And I think it did a pretty good job. My settings were ISO 100, f-stop at 1.4, shutter speed 1/800th of a second here. So we're pulling in as much, well, not as much as we could, but we're pulling in some light here because we were under a canopy. If you remember, it was kind of dark out there. But it just seems like it did pretty good. Now, again, this is the Sony ZV E10 here, and it resolves just like the other cameras that are APS-C, like the A6400, A6600, and so on. So it's a really good camera. So let's just see how far we can push this JPEG here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of detail here to her hair, make that pop just a bit. Let's just lighten up the left side of her face just a little bit here. I'm just using a little bit of exposure, just pushing the exposure up just a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna push the shadows up here just a bit, just like that. I don't wanna go too far because I kind of like the contrast between the light and the dark on this photo here. Push it up just a bit more. All right, perfect. I like that right there. Her eyes are a little bit dark. Now, typically, if I was shooting this like as an actual client, I would have had my flashes out here and I would have used a fill flash to fill in her eyes and things like that, and just to fill in her face. And then I would have went back later and made things dark. So this, again, is just straight out of the camera. No modifiers or anything like that. So that's kind of what you get. I don't want to go too bright because if I make her eyes too bright, then she starts to look a little bit weird, and I don't want that weird look. I'll show you what I mean by that. It gives you like a sinister look. See that? That reminds me of the Emperor from Star Wars. Once more, the Sith shall rule the galaxy. It looks like that's what she's gonna say, and I don't want that to be the case. So let's go ahead and tone that down just a bit. I just want to give her enough pop in the eyes so that you can see them, because before they were kind of almost non-existent just due to the dark light here. So she was nice enough to let me do this, so I'm not gonna, go hard on her. She was very nice to allow me to do that. So I appreciate that. I don't want to go too far there. So again, we're just trying to see what's possible on the ZV E10. And let's just look at the before and after just a little bit that I did here. Yeah, so just lightening up her face a little bit. This is the before, that's the after. Before and after. So I like the way that is coming out here. I'm gonna do one more thing here, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a pop and make it a little bit more dynamic here. I'm just gonna put a mask around her here and just pull slightly back. Oh, let's invert that. Undo that. Now, like I said, this is not a RAW file, so I'm not gonna try to push it too hard. I'm not gonna try to do too much with it. But I'm just gonna show you guys what can be done even with a JPEG. And there we go. And then we'll brighten this whole thing up just a bit, just a tad, just like that. I think that's perfect. I wouldn't do any more to this picture. Now I could take it over into Photoshop and do some correction on her skin, but this isn't that kind of video. I'm just using this as an example so you guys can see that you can definitely get professional grade pictures out of the ZV E10. And if you want to go far in your photography, you definitely can. I know a lot of people, and even myself, you know, we talk about the viewfinder and things like that not being there, but you definitely can still shoot without a viewfinder. I'm just going to say that on those sunny days when things are really bright, it's going to be a little bit harder to see the screen. But there are workarounds for that. You could put something over you, but I just think the viewfinder is very necessary. In my opinion, if you want to do, you know, this, like use this professionally. But let's just look at the before and after again. This is the before and this is the after. So before and after, and you can see it just brings a little bit, a lot more of the detail to her face. Here we're looking, you know, it kind of draws your attention to the left of the photo and not really so much to the right side of her face. But by changing what we changed here, and we're able to bring more of the focus directly on her. And we're still maintaining that half lit, you know, where the side of her face, the left side is still a little bit darker. So I just think this adds. So let's go to another picture here and just take a look and see what we can do. And this is an up close of a branch here, or a piece of that big bark that was hanging up. So let's just see. I mean, I shot this. I probably should have opened up my aperture a little bit more so we could get a little bit more in focus. But I know people like the bokeh, so I kind of left it like that. But I'm just going to add a little bit of clarity to this to make that pop. Now, again, folks, remember that this is a JPEG. This is not a RAW file. So we're not able to go as far as we would typically. But I'm not going to do that type editing anyway. But just know that this is a JPEG here. But like I said, I think this resolves really well. What I mean by resolve, I just mean the way that the picture comes out, the textures are clear, the transition between your highlights and your shadows, the midtones look good. And this camera is very capable. This is something that your cell phone would not be able to do, especially if you get in the darker situations. Now, a lot of these newer phones are doing the synthetic things in the dark, the AI learning and things like this. And those can come out good, but this is actually what was here. This is not a made up scenario. This is actually what was there. And the lens and the sensor in this camera was actually able to pick that up. And it was able to let you get what you're getting now. And again, these are JPEGs. So I just did a few tweaks. Let's look at the before and the after. So before and after, before, after. And we just added a little bit of clarity to that. We also just put a graduated filter on this on the left side, just to give it a little bit of pop so that the attention is drawn here. We can make it full screen actually and look at this. So again, I think this photo came out pretty good. So the ZV E10, in my opinion, is able to be used professionally in the right settings. So it's definitely something you could do. I'm gonna do some more stuff with the ZV E10, and we're gonna talk about that sort of thing too. But if you have questions and things like that, leave them below and I'll answer them. But until next time, I'll holler at y'all later. I'm out, peace.
Sunshine and rainbows, I've been feeling good, yeah, you know that it's true. You say that you love me, baby, what you tryna do? Every day is sunshine and rainbows. I've been looking good, trying to hit the mangoes. Take a trip out to the beach, just see where the day goes.